Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs won a Thursday night thriller just as Nick predicted. Did Mahomes silence the critics with his late game heroics? Next up, for Tom Brady, the New Orleans Saints, the one team that's had Brady's number since he's been in Tampa. Should the Bucs be on upset alert? We do that every Friday. And can Mac Jones get the Patriots back on top of the AFC by Sunday morning? Hi, everyone. Welcome to First Things First. We have a jam-packed Friday show today. Jenna Wolfe, Nick Wright. Very happy Nick Wright. A big I told you so Nick Wright. Chris Broussard. Kevin Wilds. Kevin,
look at these
we'll
colors.
Let Nick sit for a second. Saturday night football. No, we're not doing that. We're looking at Mac Jones. Saturday night football.
No, we're not.
Easing into the playoff
No, we're
run.
not.
You got to be excited.
No,
yeah, we are.
I'm stepping
Yeah,
all
we are.
over this. We're not
Yeah.
we're not letting Wilds talk
No.
Mac Jones before I talk Patrick Mahomes.
Talk about
Roll
the
the
video.
animation, America.
Fine. Talk
Let's
Patrick
go.
Mahomes.
Let's go.
Fine. You won this one, but you won't win the next. All right, listening to Nick, we'll start with a wild one at SoFi last night. Chiefs-Chargers, we expected a good game, and it's what was delivered. Patrick Mahomes and his two favorite targets, Tyreek Hill, monster night, Travis Kelce, even more monstery. Career high, 191 yards on 10 catches, and part of the two most important plays of the game. He caught the game-tying touchdown with just over a minute left in regulation, and then he caught the game-winning pass in overtime with a little choop-choop. I think he was even surprised there. Took it 34 yards to the house for the win. Chiefs 34, Chargers 28 was your final on Thursday night. After the game, Patrick Mahomes on why the Chiefs won.
He's got heart. I mean, that's the biggest thing. It hasn't been pretty the entire season. The guys stepped up. They showed that championship swagger that we had a couple years back. And now we got to try to keep this momentum going because this isn't it. And we still got a season left, and we're trying to get to the playoffs and make something happen.
All right, so Nick said we'd be here Friday morning. Here we are. I'll say it, Nick. Chiefs alone atop the AFC. They've come a long way since being 3-4 at the end of October. So, Nicholas, have the Chiefs answered all questions after last night's win?
Well, I'm sure they haven't. I'm sure we have people on this show and in the media that are going to focus on a bad pass or two. Is the defense really that good, or was it overrated all along? There will be people grasping at straws, befooling themselves on television all throughout the day, and maybe in about 90 seconds right here on this show, we'll see, to try to figure out a way to unbox themselves from the box they've placed themselves in, which was the doubting Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs box. But you're right, Jenna. I made a promise to America. I promised America two things from Monday morning that we would be doing right here at 7:32 a.m. Eastern, and it is 7:32 on the dot. Show me the graphic, please. Like a fait accompli. Oh, there it is. Oh, how far they have come from going to miss the playoffs, from having to fight for the division, to, wait, is that the best record in the entire conference? Wait, is there any team in the league that has more wins? No, there isn't. And the second thing I promised was a montage of wrong. Of not just Wilds, but many others across the media landscape saying Mahomes has been figured out, the Chiefs are cooked, the Chiefs are done, it's Herbert's conference, it's the Bills' time to shine. Unfortunately, however, I'm not going to be able to deliver on that promise because the show is only 2 hours long and they said we needed about 9 hours of footage to really paint the full picture. So instead, we will just go right here and I will go right to Kevin Wilds because I told Kevin Wilds yesterday... no, that's all right, buddy. Don't worry about, nobody's worried about your tie, your mic cord, any of that stuff. They're listening right now, rapt with attention to see what you're going to say next. Here's the deal, buddy. I told you yesterday the Chiefs would win by 6. 34 minus 20, that's 6. I then said they'd win 30-24, so I missed that by a bit. And you said, and I quote, how are they going to get 30? And you actually said, other than Mahomes, Hill, and Kelce, what do? And that other than Mahomes, Hill, and Kelce goes right alongside of other than Montana, Rice, and Craig, other than Aikman, Emmett, and Irvin, other than, the heavens, the universe, and mankind, what did God ever do? I don't know. Other than those things, there are questions. Because Mahomes, Hill, and Kelsey is all you need, my friend, to win the biggest game of the NFL season. 2 separate fourth quarter comebacks, a 75-yard drive in overtime that was like a hot knife through Charger butter. So, yeah, buddy, the Chiefs are back. They never actually left. They just, had a temporary out-of-body experience, but there it is. But now the floor is yours. The wrongest man in America now gets the floor. Go ahead, sir.
Well, look, you know what, Broussard? I think this is a great day for the show because Nick was proven right, and so was I. So we were both right, and I think it's just fantastic that people have tuned in this morning to hear the 2 people who were right about the Chiefs. Nick saying that the Chiefs were going to win, me saying you don't need to be afraid of the Chiefs. You have to respect the Chiefs. You can even admire the Chiefs a little bit. But you shouldn't be terrified of the Chiefs. And Broussard, the Chiefs won that game because the Chargers and Brandon Staley were terrified of the Chiefs. This is what he said when he was asked about going for it on 4th down again and again and again. Smart. Where my mindset is, I know the quickest way to win the game is to score touchdowns, not field goals, especially considering who is on the other side. Brandon, we've gone through this, and I know you grind a lot of tape. I suggest you start grinding some studio shows in the morning, too, because we've been telling you the Kansas City Chiefs can win games in the teens. They put up 16 against the Broncos and won. 19 offensive points against Dallas and won. 13 offensive points against Green Bay and won. You don't need to score 30 points. You don't need to score touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. Field goals would have won you that game. And you got to look around and look at how Patrick Mahomes is playing. Yes, you have to look at Patrick Mahomes' play. Was Patrick Mahomes playing great? No. There's people on the internet trolling Patrick Mahomes. I'm like, what are these people doing on the internet? Patrick Mahomes is a great quarterback. Why? He makes one bad pass, and people are saying it's the worst throw of his career? That was surreal. That was unfair troll job, Broussard. What are people doing out here? The internet can be so cruel
That was
sometimes.
the worst throw of his career.
Don't you think? Oh, it was surreal. You have Chiefs fans turning into trolls. And here's the other thing, Broussard. The Chiefs played a nice game at the end. But when you look at the decision to go for it on 3rd down, when Staley's doing his calculations, can we show the number, the records, and if you miss your 3rd down over and over and over. For 18, last 10 years, you're 2 for 97. Last 20 years, 3 for 176. And last 30 years, 10 for 255 if you miss your 4th down. Hold on.
Such a misleading
Nicholas.
4th down.
What is misleading about it? Broussard, tell me what's misleading about that. That if he decides to kick a field goal, the game doesn't go in overtime. Maybe I'm a simpleton.
Oh, no, can I tell you real quick what's misleading?
Nothing.
Can I tell you?
Great take.
Can I tell you real quick what's misleading? And then Broussard go. What's misleading is the vast majority of NFL history, the only situation where a team would go for 3 4th downs is because they are trailing by so much they have to. That wasn't the case last night, but of course the record is awful. Next up, Broussard, you can go, but maybe we can work on this graphic. What's opposing team's record when the other team takes a knee in the 4th quarter? My guess is it's like 1 and 254 over the last 10 years, so that must have just take a knee. First play of the 4th quarter, the other team can't beat you. That's a ridiculous bad stat. Go ahead, Broussard.
All right. Okay, Wild's very smart take. Very smart take by you. And we'll get into more of that later as we break down Brandon Staley and his folly. Nick, I'll excuse you for gloating. All right, this is your day. This is, you're all emotional. I get it. You deserve it because you took some shots early in the season. Now, and I'll just remind America, because they probably forget in your gloating, but because I win with class. I also picked the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl and win it this year.
Correct.
So I'm just saying.
That's correct.
I do it with class. I'm quiet. I don't gloat. I don't brag. I'm not arrogant. I'm no I told you so's, none of that.
Never say
and
I told
so
you so.
let me give you some real analysis. I'm not just gonna show off like Nick and gloat and all that. Real analysis. Here's what the Chiefs have shown the football world. That they have the heart, they have the character, they have the fortitude that many wondered did they have. Because the previous 3 years, for the most part, have been so easy for them, especially in the AFC, that people wonder, what are they really made of? Are they just a bunch of glamour boys where they rack up 30 points every game and they win easily? Can they get grimy? Can they get in the gutter and win ugly? That's what people wanted to know. It reminds me of the Showtime Lakers. This is before you guys were born, or especially Nick. 83, they get swept by Dr. J and Moses Malone in the finals. 84, Magic Johnson choked so bad, they're calling him Tragic Johnson against the Celtics in the finals. And everyone's saying, oh, they're just a bunch of pretty boys. All right, they're front runners. They can't get tough, bump them around a little bit, and they can't do anything. That was the question about these Chiefs. What's going to happen when they don't score 35? What's going to happen when teams do start to make it tougher on Mahomes? Their defense isn't really that good, so will they be any good? And it was tough. They got tested.
That's a good point.
This early in this season when they're 3-4. And I got to give them credit. The defense obviously has shown up. And the offense had to look itself in the mirror and say, who are we? And they've shown us over these past 7 weeks who they are. And who they are is the best team in the AFC. We'll see if they end up being better than Tampa, Green Bay. But they are clearly the best team in the AFC. And they've shown that they have the character of champions. So I got to give them their props.
So here's the thing about those Showtime Lakers, because while I wasn't alive for the beginning of their run, I have studied it. They were pretty boys. And they were gorgeous. And have you seen Travis Kelce? Have you seen Patrick Mahomes? Yeah. It's a group of pretty boys that will kick your bleeping teeth in.
Yep.
Hold on, wait, just a moment, Wilds, because I know what you're trying to do right here, which is say, I know you're trying to issue a correction where you want to apologize to America that you were like, we were both right, except for me, Kevin Wilds, when I said the Chiefs were going to miss the playoffs. If they made the playoffs, they wouldn't win a playoff game, and you picked the Chargers to win last night. Aside from all those things, you've been very right. Everyone this morning is thinking he's been so right about the Chiefs. But no, it's true. The offense has really struggled this year, Wilds. They've only scored the second most points in the NFL. The second most points in the NFL is the Chiefs offense. So yeah, it's a down year for them. I agree.
And Jenna, it did remind me of the Showtime Lakers because Mahomes was out there throwing pretty bounce passes too. So there, I do see the correlation there.
No looks.
400 yards.
No looks.
The worst pass of his career.
Pretty good.
Talk some Tom Brady now. The Saints have figured Brady out so far as a buck. So should Tampa be on upset alert Sunday night? Talk about that next. Time now for a little upset alert. And how about some Colts Patriots? New England underdogs in Indy tomorrow night. First time these two teams are matching without a Manning or a Brady since 1997. But the Rook, Mac Jones, has the Pats on a 7-game heater. Colts just might be my upset alert. Broussard, who do you think should be on upset alert in Week 15?
Jenna, I'm putting the Rams on upset alert. All right, they host Seattle. And Seattle's been playing pretty well lately. Russell Wilson is returning to form. And more importantly, the Rams have been besieged by COVID. They got 25 players on the COVID list, including Von Miller, OBJ, and still Jalen Ramsey, who missed their last game. So who knows what type of team they're going to be able to trot out there. And I just wonder, will they have a letdown? They're coming off, obviously, a huge win over Arizona. Last time they had a huge win, they beat Tampa. They had a letdown against Arizona and lost big the next week. I think they could just emotionally not be as up for this game, even though it's a big one for them. And I think Seattle could clip them. Remember, when they played in October, when Russell Wilson got hurt, it was 9-7 in the third quarter before Wilson fractured his finger. So Seattle played them tough then. I think they play them tough again and maybe beat them this week.
I think that's a good take, Broussard, and I'm going to give Broussard another compliment. Listen, people might not know. Broussard has taught me a lot on the air and off the air, and long before this show started, Broussard and I have been close personal friends, confidants, if you will, for quite some time. And one thing Broussard has taught me most recently is this is just an alert. This is not a prediction. I'm not telling you this team is going to upset this team. It's just be on alert. It's the name of the segment. He taught me that as a long-term television pro. Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks should be on alert. Now, I understand they're playing a team that does not have a quarterback in the New Orleans Saints, but there is no defense in the NFL that has consistently given Brady trouble since he went to Tampa, except for the New Orleans Saints. They beat him twice last year. They had him dead to rights in the playoffs last year until Drew Brees melted like the Wicked Witch of the West when hit with water, and they beat him this year. The fact of the matter is, the Saints absolutely, their front presents real problems for Brady. And so do I think that the Saints can hang with them in their current iteration with their injuries and their lack of a quarterback for 60 minutes? No. If I were a betting man, and some would say I am, would I include the Saints +7 first half as a good bet this week? I would. I think this will be a close game into the second half. I don't think the Bucs will ultimately lose it, but I think that there's going to be a lot of, if you're watching Red Zone, a lot of Andrew Siciliano saying, oh, back to Tampa in a closer than expected football game. So I think the Bucs need to be on alert. Also, if we're going to continue while it's the trend of me being right about literally everything for 2 months, a bad Brady game and Mahomes after last night, that little MVP conversation gets a little tighter, gets a little more interesting, a little more intriguing. Go ahead, Watts.
MVP of NBA for the bounce passes. Maybe you go after the assist record. All right, I am also have an alert. It's not a red alert. I'm going to hover it around the orange alert. Like, could they outright win? Maybe. Cardinals going into Detroit. Whoa, Wilds, that's a big one. 13.5 point underdogs.
It is.
Okay, I know. I know. First of all, if you want to put some money on it, the Lions are 9-4 against the spread. And just like Broussard was saying, maybe the Rams overlooked the Seahawks. Okay. Well, maybe the Cardinals, Mr. Kyler's coming off of a funky game. No DeAndre Hopkins. Maybe Kyler and the Cardinals overlooked the Lions. Like, I know the Lions only have one win. It's not great. Well, let's go through their recent history. They tied the Steelers. They lost to the Browns by 3. They lost to the Bears by 2. Then they've got to win against the Vikings. Then they got actually absolutely demolished against the Broncos. But put that over there. Either way, Lions a little feistier than everybody realizes. I think Cardinals are ready for a little trap game. And last year, Lions weren't good either. Where'd they get an early win? Against Kyler and the Cardinals. Putting the Cardinals on upset alert. Threat level, orange, Jenna. I'm going to put colors on it. So orange level. Like you can have green level, orange level, red alert. This one's orange. Melon.
Jenna, I do think Wilds is right that the Cardinals might overlook the Lions. But it's going to be similar to where you overlook a small piece of cardboard in the highway. Like you overlooked it and then you ran it over and didn't even notice. I think they could overlook the Lions and still just demolish them and leave them in their wake. So I'd say Wild's partially, potentially correct here.
Get back to last night's Thursday night game. Talk some Patrick Mahomes. He did get it done in clutch time, but is he getting too much credit for the overtime win? We'll tell you why we're asking next. First things first.
This game just ended.
All right, back to Thursday night football. Chiefs and Chargers. Interesting strategy from the Chargers in this one. Go for it on 4th down. But what if it doesn't matter? But how about not concerned? Well, shouldn't we? Nope. Just go for it. Well, they went for it 5 times last night. Only converted 2 of them. Wasn't great, especially since 2 of the failed attempts came inside the Chiefs' 5 in the first half. When asked after the game about this, let's call it aggressive strategy, head coach Brandon Staley said he wouldn't change a thing.
That's the way we're going to play around here. That's the way we're going to play. And, when we have a quarterback like ours and we have an offense like ours, that's the way we're going to play, because that's how you need to play against Kansas City for sure. And that's how we're going to become the team that we're ultimately capable of being, is by playing that way. And, I'm really proud of our guys. I thought like we competed like champions today, and they made a couple more plays in the fourth quarter and in overtime than we did. But I felt like our guys laid it on the line tonight, and I'm very, very proud of them for that.
Sort of champions, like the champions that almost won. Broussard, is it fair to blame Brandon Staley's aggressive fourth down play calling for the Chargers' loss last night?
All right, look, Jenna, I'm not going to sit here and say, had they kicked those 3 field goals, that would have put them up 3-0, 17-10, and 17-13, that they definitely would have won the game. Because when the score is different, players respond differently. Teams do things differently. So even if Kansas City's down 17-10 rather than 14-10, they still may come back and win that game. So it's not that black and white, unless it's, in the final minutes. It's just not that cut and dried. So I won't go there, but I'm glad that Brandon Staley complimented his players, because he did them wrong. All right. He did blow it by not kicking those field goals and taking the points. And I don't care what the analytics say. I know the analytics supported every time he did it and went for it on fourth down. But the analytics, as valuable as they are, Nick, and I'm not an anti-analytics guy. My thing is this: analytics are a part of the equation. They are not the full equation. You don't run everything based on analytics. You just take it into account and then you make a human decision, because analytics are flawed. All right. Analytics don't take into account, for instance, it's not team specific. It's just overall in the league. All right. So in win probability, analytics doesn't take into account whether your opposing quarterback is Patrick Mahomes or Zach Wilson. All right. So that it's flawed. All right. Analytics doesn't take into account, for instance, on 4th and 1, when Kansas City went for it. We saw it earlier when Patrick Mahomes bounced the ball to McCole Hardman. Would analytics ever tell you that Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the league, was going to miss that throw and miss a wide open McCole Hardman? There it is right there. Analytics would never tell you that. All right. Analytics does not take into account the human element, how a team feels, what it does to a team's demeanor or mental toughness when you have a nice long drive and then you end up with no points because you didn't go for the field goal. No, but I'm just saying, those are things that analytics doesn't take into account.
But hold on. But if you're just real quick, hold on, to let you finish. But if you're going to say it doesn't take that into account, you also have to acknowledge it doesn't take into account the extra boost you get if you do get it. If you're saying analytics is totally emotionless, then we have to acknowledge that cuts both ways. That it's not giving you credit for the emotional boost of getting the fourth down and what it does to the defense emotionally.
That's fine.
Right? So that cuts both ways. Go ahead.
That's fine, but it cuts both ways, but it does cut when you miss, and they kept failing last night. And here's the other thing. When did 3 points become something to sneeze at? I mean, seriously, like, New England used to win Super Bowls with field goals. How many times this season have we seen a team march down the field in the last 2 minutes, get themselves in field goal position, and win with a field goal? I mean, the fact that coaches, and it's not just Brandon Staley, we saw Harbaugh do it a couple weeks ago. He's got the best kicker ever.
He was right, too.
And he doesn't use him because he had to go for it. You have to take the human element into account. And look, we're seeing it across the sports, Nick. We saw it in basketball when Houston shot 27 straight threes, missed 27 straight threes. How about taking a 15-footer? Analytics part of the equation, not the final piece. Yeah. Because in that case, Nick, I don't need Brandon Staley. Let me get a computer nerd. No, let me just have a computer tell me what to do, and I don't need him. Seriously.
The idea. Okay, but here's the thing. What you're saying, it doesn't take into account who the opposing quarterback is, how your team's doing. All of those things in this game would scream, go for it. because the opposing quarterback is Mahomes. Your team is moving the ball at will. So a lot of that stuff would actually aid the decisions. But the reason this is so frustrating to me is because, Jenna, he went for 5 fourth downs, right? So,
yep.
But we're only talking about the ones he missed. So early in the game, when they went for the 4th and 1 from the 35, we're just going to say that one's fine because they ended up getting 7 on that drive. So if we're going to say they're -9 on field goals, and by the way, and this, I want everyone to know this, there is not a button you press that says take the points and the points then just go up 3. You got to go out there. You got to kick the field goal. And the idea that Dustin Hopkins is automatic from everywhere, I've watched Dustin Hopkins. I've watched him play for 2 teams this year. Methinks he's not quite automatic from everywhere. But let's go through what they did. Because not only did it not cost them the aggressiveness was a net positive. We've gone through the 3 they missed, so call it -9. But then there's the one they got early where they ended up getting a touchdown. And then the final one, they had a 4th and 1 from the 11. They got it. They got it down to the 4. They then had a 2nd and goal from the 1. That was another massive net positive. They then fumble on 3rd down on the next series. We're now saying he shouldn't have gone for that 4th down because you could fumble later. Well, in that case, start kicking field goals on 2nd down. Just take the points, America. You can't risk a turnover. Once you get in field goal range, just kick it. Like, this is insane. And here's the other part, Wilds. And this is why I'm so surprised by Broussard's opinion. Why was this such a big game? Because the Chiefs were 9-5 and the Chargers were 8-4 and the Chargers had beaten them. If the Chiefs had won the Week 3 matchup, Chiefs be 10-3, Chargers would have been 7-6, and this game would have been fine, but not a big game. Why did the Chargers win that first game? Because they went for a 4th and 9 in a tie game with a minute left. This is who they are. So we can't give them credit for how they beat the Chiefs the first time and now Monday morning quarterback it the next time. This is who they are. It is the right decision emotionally because of what it does to the Chiefs and how they're moving the ball. And numerically, you had Jared Cook drop a ball. And the first one, by the way, last point, just quickly, we didn't show it because poor, Donald Parham and thoughts and prayers with him. They got exactly what they wanted. They got a touchdown on the first one that only wasn't a touchdown because the Parham got concussed on the play. I think it was obviously and clearly the right call.
Okay, so you know what I go back to, my little bracelet that says, what would Bill Belichick do? I think Belichick would have kicked those field goals, Broussard. And if he didn't, I think he would have run the ball. I think it's 2 yards. Okay, let's try to push the pile here and grab 2 yards. Or the old classic Tom Brady quarterback sneak. The idea that Staley is saying, well, we've got a quarterback like ours. The quarterback like yours can throw the ball 70 yards. I think when it comes to getting 2 yards, Justin Herbert is not necessarily any better than any other quarterback in the league. It's 2 yards. High school kids can get a 2-yard completion. But Wilds, you went too far there. I'll retract that one with the high school kids. But you know what I'm saying. If I just need 2 yards, I want to run it. So here's the question for you, Broussard. And I'm not trying to Chiefs troll. Do you think that Staley had in his mind, erroneously, I think, that he needed to put up 30 points to beat the Chiefs? That he had nightmares of Mahomes against the Raiders when they're scoring 41 points. You scored 30 in overtime. Let's isolate a regulation game. I'm just asking.
Wilds, they scored 28 and didn't win the game in regulation. They did need 30. They needed 29, not 30. You're right. Tell me. How many points, how many points did the Chiefs score in regulation? 28. So by definition, he did need 30 to win. He actually did. Well, he scored 28 and lost, Wilds.
Then I guess that's fair. My contention is this. It felt like he had a target number in his head that he was going to go after rather than field goal, field goal. Well, I thought that was the wrong strategy.
He said it. He said it.
Yeah.
I mean, he said it's when you're playing Patrick Mahomes, we saw it in his quote that you got to get more points. But I'll be honest, he also said this is who we are. And I do think he would have gone for it no matter what. No matter who they were playing, I think he would have gone for it. And my contention is take the points. And Nick, yeah, okay, sure, a guy can miss a kick. There's no doubt about that. But the probabilities, right, if we're all about the numbers, the probabilities are that they would make those field goals, especially the early ones. I mean, it was 4th and 5, Nick, on the first series. Maybe 4th and 1, 4th and 5? Kick the field goal and take the points.
I'm going to tell you, the only one that I think is questionable is the one we haven't spent any time debating, which is the one at the very end of the first half. Because one of the reasons you go for it on 4th and goal from inside the 3 every time is because of the advantage you have of even if you don't get it, the other team is backed so far up. At the end of the first half, that part goes to 0. Like that was going to be the final play of the first half no matter what. So that one to me is debatable there. But I understand they wanted the lift of being up 21-10 going into halftime. But lastly, Wilds, I know you watched the game because you were trolling me via text and Twitter during it. But you keep talking like you didn't. You keep saying Brandon Staley thought you needed to score a bunch of points to win. They scored 28 and lost. So yes, they did need touchdowns. Yes, they did.
I just feel like it plays out differently if they're up. If they're up, I feel like it plays out differently.
Yeah, and you know what I feel like? And here's what I think.
It plays out
I feel like, and if the end of the game didn't show you this, I feel like Brandon Staley knew. Okay, if this is a one-score game in the fourth quarter because we're kicking field goals, the world's most notorious assassin is on the other side of the field and is going to kill us. And it was a one-score game in the fourth quarter 2 times, and Mahomes sliced through him. And he knew that we need to put the game away. We need to be up 2 scores. Not going to get up 2 scores kicking field goals. You're just not.
All right, well, the Chargers finish up the season. They got Texans, Broncos, Raiders. So maybe we have this conversation again if these 2 teams meet again in January. Nick's got to hand out some NBA medals. Wizards, Suns, and Phoenix is still rising. Won by 20 last night to pull even with the Warriors for the NBA's best record, but no Suns scored more than 20 points, so they just missed a medal. Nick, which 3 guys were podium-worthy performers last night?
Suns won by 20. It's almost like the Wizards, poo-poo platter of mediocre Lakers players, aside from KCP, he's awesome, is not a championship core. Who could have thought that? Kyle Kuzma's pink sweater. Bronze medal, Karis LeVert. Give it to me. 31-5 for Karis LeVert. Who will he be playing for in a month? I don't know. He hopes it's not the Pacers, but that's a great game by him. Silver medal in a loss. Listen, Joel Embiid could only do so much. Joel Embiid, 32, 9, and 6 at Barclays last night. I had an invite to that game, but unfortunately I had other things to do watching the future Super Bowl champions. But good job, Embiid. Tough loss for Philly. Why did they lose? Easy money sniper. Starts Twitter beefs during the day, rips hearts out at night. Kevin Durant, 34, 11, and 8. The absolute clutch 4-point play late in the fourth quarter to give the Nets a bit of a cushion. He right now has overtaken Giannis and Steph, for he once again is in pole position for league MVP. How about that? There's your medal stand from last night in the NBA.
Back here, First Things First, and we are previewing your plans for tomorrow evening, a primetime AFC showdown between the red-hot Patriots and the sneaky good Colts. We talked earlier this week about Colts linebacker Bobby Okereke's wish to make Mac Jones one-dimensional, make him win with his arm. Well, Mac caught wind of the Colts strategy, and by that I mean someone told him what Okereke said. And his response was very Belichickian.
Everyone has their opinions, and my job is to be the best quarterback I can be, and I can do a better job of that every day at practice. So that's what I can control. And like I said, they have a great defense, and there's great players all around. So everyone's entitled to their opinion.
All right, tail of the tape for tomorrow night. Efficiency has been the story for Mac. Carson Wentz quietly having a nice season with 22 touchdowns and 5 picks. So, Wilds, I have set the table. I will allow you to choose your meal. Who wins on Sunday, Patriots or Colts?
Well, I just think, Jenna, because the Patriots can win in so many different ways, the Patriots end up winning. If we can go through the ways that we have won the last 4 weeks, you have to pick your poison. Now, the Colts want to make it all about Mac Jones because it feels like they just watched the Bills game and acted like it was in a dome. Well, it wasn't. It was in a tornado and a blizzard combined. But we can win by scoring a lot of points like we did against the Browns. We can shut you out like we did against the Falcons. Mac Jones can throw for a lot of touchdowns, and we don't have to run the ball that much against the Titans. Or Mac Jones doesn't have to throw it all, and we'll just run it down your throat like we did against the Bills. So for that reason, Broussard, as much as I like Jonathan Taylor, we know that Belichick's number one thing is going to take away what you're good at. And Jonathan Taylor has been the best running back in the league since Derrick Henry went down. I think he neutralizes Jonathan Taylor, and the Patriots end up winning. And the Chiefs have a nice 48 hours on top of the AFC, and then we'll look back on top come Sunday morning.
Wilds, obviously you're right about Belichick. That's a great point that he can take away what you do best. But I still think your boys are going down. And it's not because Indianapolis is better than New England necessarily. It's because, one, New England's due. All right, they've won 7 straight games. They're not that good where they're just going to run the table the rest of the season. They're going to lose some more games. And I think they lose to Indianapolis. Indianapolis is more desperate. All right, New England's got a 2-game lead in the AFC East. I'm not saying they relax, but subconsciously they do have a cushion, whereas Indianapolis has got to keep winning to stay in this playoff race. So I think that's a factor as well. And Indianapolis is playing great, just like New England is. They've won 7 of their last 10. They've won 4 of their last 5. And their 3 losses over the last 2 weeks, all by 1 score against the Ravens, the Titans, and when they had Derrick Henry, and the Buccaneers. All right, here's the other thing. You mentioned Belichick taking away Jonathan Taylor. Well, I mean, the Patriots, we know, have a great defense, but it's really a great pass defense. They are susceptible and vulnerable to the run. We know a lot of years, Wiles, they're a bend, don't break defense. All right? And they have been a lot. Leonard Fournette almost had 100 yards. When they beat Tennessee, Tennessee had 2 guys, Dante Foreman and Dontrell Hilliard, go for 100 yards each. All right, 100 plus each. All right, so Jonathan Taylor, I think, is going to have a field day, and I think Indianapolis, Nick, gets this win.
Yeah, Indy wins. I agree with you, Broussard. I think Indy, in a weird way, can argue, I don't know if we can show their schedule, that they are as hot as the Patriots. Since September, they've lost 3 times. You guys mentioned it. 2 of the 3, Baltimore and Tennessee, were in overtime. And the other one was the Bucs game, where they were annihilating the Bucs. And then Carson Wentz had his first truly awful game of the year with the turnovers from a turnover perspective, and the Bucs end up coming storming back. They've played a tough schedule, and they have played it well. But Wilds, and I agree with Broussard that I don't think the Patriots' run defense is great, actually. I think that we have seen that throughout the year. I think they have a great pass defense. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to give them problems. But Wilds, you keep bringing up this. The Patriots have so many options. They got so many different ways to beat you. So listen, man, I know you and I don't go out to eat together because we used to say it was because of the pandemic, but now it's because of a true visceral dislike for each other that's developed over this football season. But if we did, I know from knowing people close to you, you're a bit of a foodie. You like nice, fancy restaurants. You like good stuff. And when you go to those places, Wilds, that you go to, whether it's Le Cirque or Per Se, one of your favorite French places, whatever.
Okay.
What does the menu look like? What does the menu look like? Do they got 100 things on it? Or it's like, hey, we have 8 items and we make them all perfectly. This is what we do great. Meanwhile, you ever go to your local Denny's Your local Dirty Spoon? You got Mexican food on there. You got breakfast. It could be middle of the night. You want a Reuben? No problem. You want chicken fajitas? We got it for you. And none of it's that good. So like, yeah, the Patriots have a big menu, buddy. But the question is, aside from pass defense, are they great at any of it? Is there any of it they're like, oh my God, that's the best I've ever had? No, it's not. And so the Colts, on the other hand, have a very small menu. We're going to play tough defense. We're going to run Jonathan Taylor. And we're going to be the best in the league at that specific brand. And that brand is going to run into your chicken tetrazzini, and it's not going to work out well, my friend. I'm just telling you right now. You're going to taste it and be like, should have gone with the bacon and eggs. Seems like something they know how to do.
Chicken.
You know what? You know I'm a sucker for a good analogy, so I'll just extend it. It's different when you've got the best chef in the world. It's more like that show Kitchen Impossible, Jenna, where it's like, hey, what do you want to make today? All we have is some leftover ketchup, some Ritz crackers, and some salmon. Right. And the master chef will say, like, today I'm going to make filet mignon out of that. I'm going to make a beautiful beef Wellington. How are you going to do it? I don't know. It's because he's a genius. So look, I don't know what Belichick's game plan is against the Colts, and I think that's the beauty of it. You kind of know, and this is not a shot at the Chiefs. Like, hey, Brandon Staley, guess what you should guard? Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Don't let them go for 330 yards. Against Belichick, hey, maybe we're going to throw the ball 40 times. Maybe we're going to throw it 3 times. I think that's what makes Belichick and the Patriots dangerous, and that's why they win on Saturday.
Celebrate Christmas with a boom. Fox Sports proudly presents a documentary tribute to one of football's most beloved figures, the coach, the broadcaster, the video game. All Madden premieres Christmas Day, only on Fox. All right, we're going to finish up with some stories to start your morning this Friday morning. Sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. A wild one at SoFi last night. Chiefs and Chargers. We thought this will be a close one. It's exactly what it was. Patrick Mahomes and his 2 favorite targets, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. My favorite target is the one just over the bridge in New Jersey. It's huge, but that's neither here nor there. Both Hill and Kelce, part of the 2 most important plays of the game. For Kelce, he caught the game-tying touchdown, just over a minute left in regulation. Then the game winner in overtime. 34 yards in for the win. Chiefs 34, Chargers 28, the final. Afterwards, Patrick Mahomes on why the Chiefs won.
He's got heart. I mean, that's the biggest thing. It hasn't been pretty the entire season, but guys stepped up. They showed that championship swagger that we had a couple years back, and now we got to try to keep this momentum going because this isn't it. And we still got a season left, and we're trying to get to the playoffs and make something happen.
Oh yeah, fired up. Nick said we'd be here Friday morning. Here we are, Friday morning. Chiefs alone atop the AFC. They've come a long way since being 3-4 at the end of October. So, Nicholas, have the Chiefs answered all questions after last night's win?
Well, that might actually be a better question for Kevin Wildes because he's the one who had all the questions. And listen, America, if you're tuned in right now, you're very lucky. You get to see 2 very special people. You get to see, at present, the most obnoxious man in America for the next couple minutes, yours truly. And in just a moment, you're going to get to hear from the wrongest man in America, Kevin Wildes. Kevin Wildes, who at various points this year has had the Chiefs out of the playoffs, the Chiefs not winning a playoff game, the offense is no good. Yep. How are they going to score 30 points was literally the last thing he said on the show yesterday, aside from Hill, Kelce, Mahomes. What do they really have? Yes, that's a great take. Aside from Montana, Rice, and Craig, what did the Niners actually have? And then I, on the other hand, did promise you 4 days ago that we would be able to show you this. Unveil it, please. Oh, let it wash over you. Oh, all is right in the world. Listen, actually, all is not right in the world. We kind of live in a hell world. It's very nice to know there are certain things we can rely on, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs trouncing the entire AFC. So how'd they do it? Was it a perfect football game? No, actually. I even said, in this game, Mahomes threw the single worst pass I've ever seen him throw. And then after that, he threw an interception. So how'd they do it? Oh, because Mahomes went Mahomes on those final 3 drives. 75 yards in 5 plays, 75 yards in 8 plays, 75 yards in 5 plays for a nice, tidy. I think we can show you the numbers of what he did over those final 3 drives. It was 3 touchdowns. It was perfect quarterbacking. He mixed in a 32-yard run in there just, for added bonus. If we can't show you the numbers, it's fine. There they are. They're really good. That isn't just the final 9 minutes of the biggest game of the season. And so Kevin Wildes, this is why I called them on Monday the most dangerous Chiefs team ever. Because in a day the defense didn't have it, because no Chris Jones, no Willie Gay, no L'Jarius Sneed, most important player at each level of the defense, didn't matter. At a game where it looked like Mahomes didn't have it for 3 quarters, didn't matter. Because with the game on the line, there is nobody in the league you trust more than Mahomes. And there are no weapons in the league more dangerous than Hill and Kelsey. And we saw it again last night, the way we've seen it, for the last 4 seasons. But I assume you still have the Chiefs losing. Like maybe it's going to, they're going to go back on the field. So go ahead, my friend.
No, I mean, you've said a lot there. So I don't want to rain on your 48-hour parade. I think you should have all the fun you can in this brief time that you're atop of the AFC East, or AFC, I'm sorry. I've asked Dusty to print out AFC that East. Graphic and frame it and send it to your house so you can keep it for 48 hours, and then I'll come and grab it and take it back to my house where it rightfully belongs and where it's been for the last 20 years. Broussard, I admit when I was wrong. I said that the Chiefs hadn't scored 30 offensive points since the middle of October. They did it. It wasn't in regulation, but they did it. I was also wrong because I said something was wrong with Mahomes, that he looked a little bit off. Actually, he's a little bit like my tie. Sometimes exactly perfect. Sometimes totally off. Most of the time, just a little bit something wrong. Just a little bit off. But in the fourth quarter and in overtime, it was spot on. And if you have that Mahomes over the full game, I think the Chiefs are a very dangerous team. And I think Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce are the ultimate, Broussard, the ultimate insurance policy. That when things are going wrong, there's Travis Kelce to make it happen. When you need a big play, there's Tyreek Hill getting free. And that they play well. I never said you guys just had those 2 guys. I think that may have been on your podcast. For the record, we can discuss post-show. Overall, I was impressed with the Chiefs. Do I think Bill Belichick was terrified of the Chiefs? Do we think oh my goodness, that's the most dangerous team in the AFC? I don't. I think I was impressed, but I am not willing to say that they are the most dangerous team. In the fourth quarter, they looked a little scary. I think my Patriots are, my friend. I think my Patriots are the different ways that we can beat you. We were just at the top of the AFC. You're holding on to this for 48 hours.
Yeah, that's great.
Here's the why, Broussard. If we're going to talk Patriots Chiefs, I think that you'd have to go into that game and say, you know what we can't do? What Bill Belichick would say, we can't leave points on the field, which the Chargers left 9 points on the field, and you can't let your 2 biggest weapons beat you. Be any other way. But do not allow Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill to combine for 22 receptions and 330 some odd yards. I don't think Bill Belichick would let that happen. But overall, I was impressed with the Chiefs, and I hope you have fun for these next 48 hours.
Seems like good.
All right, well, look, America, you wouldn't know this because I don't gloat, I don't brag, I don't get on here and act all obnoxious and arrogant and cocky when the Chiefs win, even though I, like Nick Wright, picked them to win the Super Bowl in the preseason. And yeah, I'm feeling good about my pick. And I, like Nick Wright earlier in the week, said this might be the most dangerous Chiefs team in the Patrick Mahomes era.
Broussard said it
and
first.
Here's why, Nick.
Broussard said it
Here's
first.
why. Because they have been tested now. All right, it has been so easy for them these previous 3 seasons, particularly in the AFC. We know they've only won 1 Super Bowl, but it's been a breeze. I mean, their first 5 playoff games, they scored over 30 points. All right, so they've been cruising. Yeah. And it never got tough. So we all wondered, what are they really made of? What type of character do they have? What type of heart? What type of fortitude? When their backs are against the wall, when they get punched in the face, when they can't score 30 points, what are they going to do? When they start losing some games and they're not as cute and sexy anymore, what are they going to do? And they've shown us over these past 7 weeks, they were getting criticized to no end. The defense was the worst we've ever seen. They were 3-4. Patrick Mahomes, flash in the pan. They figured him out. Justin Herbert's better, as you said, Nick. Josh Allen's better. You didn't say it, but people were saying it. Lamar Jackson's better. Joe Burrow, there are a lot of guys that are better now. And he looked in the mirror. He became better. The Chiefs defense really woke up, got healthy, but also got better, made some changes. And now, Nick, they have championship mettle. And they're tough, and they can win if they don't put 30 points on you. So that's why this could be the best Chief team we've seen, because they've shown they got the character to win.
It's also why their demise was so wildly, hilariously overrated. They played the toughest schedule in the NFL the first 8 weeks. They played poorly twice. They played bad against Tennessee. They played bad against the Bills. They were turning the ball over at an unprecedented high rate, which is why they lost the Chargers and the Ravens game. And since then, they have not lost. But even in the winning streak, and you heard it there from Wilds, he had a Freudian slip there. He said, I didn't think they could score 30 since they haven't done it since October. Except for, of course, prior to last night, the 2 games where they did that you just decided didn't count because I don't know. The Raiders are some JV team. It's not allowed.
No, 30
but the Raiders games happened, buddy.
Against the Raiders.
Yeah, they scored 42 offensive against the Raiders. Yeah, it happened. Oh, look at it.
Take that in.
Oh, let it wash over you.
Look at it.
Look at it.
Just marinate in that, Nick.
So good.
Look, it's beautiful. Have a great weekend, you guys.
It's so unbecoming.
Skip and Shannon pick up the conversation right now.
Win with class.